This is the new Lexus LC500 Convertible, and it's a little bit like a giant panda. You see, your chances of ever seeing one of these in the wild is very, very, very rare. Part of the reason for that is that these kind of big convertibles are a sort of dying breed. If you are one of the few people actually considering one of these, you're probably also looking at something like a BMW M850i Convertible or a Jaguar F-Type Convertible. So this Lexus, it starts from just over £90,000. No wonder they're rare, eh? Now, if you want to see how much money you can save on a new car, click on the pop-out banner up there to go to Carwow. And while you're there, me and my team will help you choose the right car for you and help you get it for a fair price from one of our trusted dealers. Alternatively, if you just want to do that later, you can just Google "Help Me Carwow" and it'll take you straight there. Oh, and also I forgot to say, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon to turn your notifications on. That way you won't miss a single upload.
Buying a new car? Then head to Carwow and my team will help you find your next car at a fair price. Carwow, your one-stop car buying comparison site.
Let's start off by talking about this car's design, because that is what this LC500 Convertible is all about, because it's absolutely drop dead gorgeous. I love this huge flat rear deck and the little ducktail spoiler. The light design is incredible as well, and when they're on you get this 3D effect. I'm not so keen on this. This like fake exhaust element here, and these are just exhaust surrounds because in there are the actual pipes, but at least you do have actual exhaust pipes. It's not as bad as they might have on an Audi or a Mercedes. Moving down the sides, check out the alloy wheels. As standard, you get 20 inches. These go the extra inch. These are the 21s. And look at them. They're just incredible, though I'd be very frightened of curbing them because it would really show up on these. You've also got some really wide wheel arches and haunches. Look at the shape of this car. It's stunning. Now, there's a vent here, and you might think that's surely fake because it's not got a mid-mounted engine. The engine's at the front, but actually, this isn't a fake vent. You can see the exit there, and what it does, it allows air to flow down the sides, then over the wheel to reduce turbulence, improve the aerodynamics, reduce the drag. I like the shape of these side skirts as well, really help the car's design and make it look like it's hugging the road. Moving to the front, Lexus's light design is really cool, and you've got that element there. It's almost like its mascara's running, like it's been crying. I don't know why I think that's a good thing, but it does, it looks really nice. The grille. Now, when Lexus first introduced this huge grille, everyone was like up in arms about it, but think about how everyone's taken BMW's latest grille. We've all forgotten about Lexus's big grille, and I think we've got used to it as well, because this car does just look really, really cool. The inside's awesome as well. Let's check out the inside. Now, what I want to show you, check out the door handle. I love the way that the door handles remain closed until you open the car. Look, and then they pop out. They've even got a little Lexus logo on them. I'm just going to climb into the car, and I do feel a little bit like I'm climbing into a murder scene because this one has the red interior, though it does sort of work, doesn't it, with the white exterior. Oh yes. I'll just press this button here and my seat moves forward, the steering wheel comes towards me, and the dash comes to life with this really cool little display. And cool is the right word to describe this interior. I mean, look at it. It's absolutely lovely. There's lots of shapes, curves, loads of little intricate design features. Just look up here on the dash and see that the fascia has this little pan etched into it. Even the look of the clock's cool. Then check out the doors. You've got this sweeping design, then with an intricate pattern just worked into it as well. I love that. And how about the door handles? They're like little samurai daggers. Even the little window switches have a chrome surround, and the metal for the gear selectors, that's solid. Even that's metal. It's for your climate control buttons, and I like the fact that they're separate from the infotainment system. And the on-off switch for the infotainment system, you press the button here in the middle, that's metal. Then to do the volume, the actual outside of that button turns, but that middle bit doesn't. I can't describe how nice turning that knob feels, but it really does. There's just a tactility to this car. All the materials are just absolutely gorgeous wherever you touch, apart from one place, this bit on the steering wheel, just there, just cheap. Although you're never going to touch that bit, are you? Let's move on to something else that's a bit of a shame, the infotainment system. Now, the screen is big, however, the way you control it is an absolute nightmare. You have to use this touchpad here, and you have this mouse moving around, and then you press it down to go into different functions. But it's almost like one of those games you get on your mobile phone which tests your dexterity, because it's just so hard to operate, especially when you're driving. And anyway, the infotainment system itself with the layout and the menus it's crap. It's just crap. I think it's probably easier for me to read Japanese than it is to mess with this. Thankfully, you can just plug in your phone. It's got Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. You just use that. That's what I've been doing, and then you forget about it. It's doesn't matter so much. Let's move on to the dials, because they are way better. They're digital dials and they look really cool, but there's this actual mechanical bit in it, which when you press this button here to change the view, it slides over to the side to give you more information. That is absolutely brilliant. Is it as cool as an Audi's graphical display? Yes, it's way cooler. Is the information it gives you as good? Not quite. And the overall infotainment system isn't as good as you get in a BMW 8 Series. In fact, if you want to see my full in-depth video review of that car, just click on the pop-out banner up there. But it's features like that just set this car apart from all the German stuff. Even the way they do things with the driving mode select. So normally they'd be down here, or maybe you press a button on the steering wheel. But here in the Lexus, to go into sports mode, you turn this dial up there. Or to go back into comfort. If you want to turn your stability control off and on, it's here. Why would they put it there? Well, you're driving along. It's quite easy to change that. It's a great idea. No one else has done it. I love this car. Just keep going on about it. Driving position, absolutely brilliant. Lexus makes the best seats out of any car manufacturer. That is a fact. If you want to dispute it, you can shut up. Great seats. It's as though they've been specifically designed for me. Now this car comes with sport seats as standard, but the particular model I've got here has the premium sport pack or something. I can't remember the exact name, but it's almost £6,000 and it includes aniline leather, so super soft leather as opposed to the normal leather. You also get some carbon fibre scuff plates for the sills, a limited slip differential, and those lovely alloy wheels I showed you earlier. Is it worth the upgrade? Why not? You're spending a lot of money on this car, may as well do it, especially for those wheels. Now let's move on to cubby spaces. It is a sporty car, so you can't expect too much. That's quite a big flask. It won't fit in the door bin particularly well. Look, it kind of will go, but it'll end up dropping out. But look, underneath here, there is a cup holder where you can keep your flask. Underneath here, there's another cup holdery area. And if I press this button and lift that up, I can then get in here for the central cubby. There is a bit hard to work when you're driving, and especially if you're the passenger. In there, you've got your USB cables for the infotainment system and an old-fashioned 12-volt socket as well. In here is the glove box, and you open it by pressing the button up on here rather than a latch here, and look, oh, look how it releases. So nicely damped and lined with felt as well, so things don't rattle about inside. You might be wondering though, so this is a convertible, Matt. You haven't shown me where the heck the buttons are to operate the roof. Are they up here? No. Are they down here somewhere? Maybe on the steering wheel? No. Where are they? Well, they're just under here, look. Lift up this flap, and there's your controls. So you've got the switch for the roof mechanism, and then another one to control all the windows at once. But let's see how quick it is to put this roof up. So if you just move back, we'll pop a timer on the screen, and I'll count it in now. You ready then? So 3, 2, 1, let's go. Now this is actually the first time Lexus has ever done a fabric roof on one of its cars. It's always used folding metal hard tops in the past. You also have a little graphic in front of you to tell you the state that the roof is in through the whole process, so you don't suddenly just stop halfway through it. And I think that is the roof up. Now if you come back here, because I want to show you something else, what it's like in the back of this car, because it's actually a 2+2 seater. Oh dear, I'm not going to enjoy this, I know it. Right, just lift this up and pop in. Now there's so little space back here that I'm going to have to put my legs akimbo in order to get the seat back, otherwise it will sense that it touches my legs and then stop moving. And I want to show you how much space it is when my seat is in its usual driving position. Look, there's this much. Even the smallest child would struggle to fit their legs in that little space. In fact, if the social services found you trying to squeeze the child into the back of here, they'll probably take that child off you. Yeah, it's awful. No headroom, backrest really upright. It's horrible back here. It's even worse than a Bentley Continental GT convertible. In fact, if you click on the pop-out banner up there, you can watch my full in-depth video review of that car. There is only one thing I like about being back here. It's got this cool little Lexus logo in the back of the headrest. Anyway, that's enough of that. What a horrible experience. I'll now try and extract myself from this car. Oh yeah. I'm the car reviewer with the most style. Oh yeah. Ta-da! Anyway, let's check out the boot. How do you open it? Now there is a button inside the car and you can do it on the blipper, but you think you'd have another button here. There isn't one. but there is still a button somewhere around here. They're not hiding stuff on this Lexus. I'll tell you, it's just here. Yeah, it's like a little zit. Press it, go into the boot, and you'll see that it's not very big. What you got is 149 litres of space. That's pretty much the same size that you get in the front boot, the fruit, on a Porsche 911 Cabriolet. Tiny. There are a few things like tie down points which look nice, and the carpet's lovely, but really you're not going to be able to fit much in there at all. I'll tell you what, the new Corvette C8 is actually better, and if you click on the pop out banner up there, you can see my full in-depth video review of that car. Anyway, small boot. And that brings you on to 5 annoying things about the Lexus LC Convertible. The Sport Pack Plus, which I mentioned earlier, includes a heads-up display. The only thing is, it doesn't display all that much information. I don't know whether it's just my eyesight, but it always seems a bit too blurred. If you need to get into the back seats, you have to remove that seat belt like that, so it doesn't get in your way. And then when you put the seat back, obviously you're going to forget to put it back as it should do. So the next time you get into the front of the car, you end up having to do a serious reach around to get your seat belt. Now, German cars have this really cool mechanism where they have a seat belt butler, which will actually hand you your belt, so there's none of that faff. Why didn't Lexus figure out how to do that as well? I really don't know what Lexus was thinking with this plastic they put on the top of the rear lights. It's horrendous. It's the kind of plastic that toys from Poundland are made out of. Did Lexus get the intern to do this part of the car? Looks as though they did. In most cars you can turn on the heated seats quickly by pressing a button, but in this car you have to use the show of the infotainment system. It's the only way to do it. So here we go, press menu. Come on, move the cursor down to climate, then up again to scroll across to seat heating, then across again. Right, move it up, yeah, done. The coupe version of the LC has rear wheel steering, so when you're going quickly, the rear wheels move in the same direction as the front wheels, ever so slightly, and that aids high speed stability. Then when you're going slower, they turn slightly in the opposite direction of the front wheels, which makes the car more manoeuvrable. The convertible doesn't have that functionality though. Something to do with the roof mechanism means that there's not enough space for the gubbins that's required for steering the rear wheels. Annoying.
Thankfully, this car has plenty of cool features to help make up for all this. Here's 5.
If you're worried about some idiot damaging your roof by messing around, making it go up and down and up and down, don't. You see, Lexus actually did 18,000 roof cycles on this car, which equates to about 24 years worth of use to make sure that nothing went wrong with it. Now, actually, one thing did go wrong with it, but it was only something minor and it wasn't hazardous. Pretty impressive. Well, you can get a normal wind deflector for this car. If you can't really be arsed faffing around with all that kind of stuff, don't worry. Look, there's an inbuilt little glass wind deflector which you can see through when you're reversing, which is handy, but it actually reduces buffeting in the cabin by 20%. Ideal if you're the kind of person like me who's a bit too lazy to put a normal one up. This car has something called Climate Concierge. So you set the temperatures for all the different elements exactly as you like them. And the car monitors the entire cabin with lots of sensors, and it can make sure that those temperatures are always maintained way more efficiently than with a normal climate control system. The Sport Plus pack also includes these little air vents which blow warm air on the back of your neck when you're driving, and you can even angle the airflow. Yes, I know Mercedes did this already, but it's still welcome here in this Lexus. For an extra £1,000 you can upgrade to a Mark Levinson stereo, which sounds glorious. Also, it's a bass tube in between the rear seats for added sound performance. Also, to enhance the sound performance of this car, there's a couple of microphones in the front headrests, and they pick up unwanted noises and then play opposite frequency noises at the speakers to cancel those bad sounds out. Brilliant. Now let's have a look under here. You see, you can only get the Lexus LC Convertible with one engine, and it's this 5-litre V8. It's got 464 horsepower and 530 newton meters of torque, and it drives the rear wheels only via a 10-speed, that's right, 10-speed automatic gearbox. And because the engine is naturally aspirated, no turbocharger or anything like that, it sounds epic. I'm gonna let you hear it now. Oh yeah, that sounded epic. Now what I'm going to do is configure a Lexus LC using the carwow configurator, so you can see how much you can save on one through carwow. So done it, got an offer back, and if you click on the pop out banner up there, you can go check out what that saving is. Lexus says this car will do 0 to 60 miles an hour in 5 seconds flat, but I want to test that out for myself, so I've got my specialist timing gear here. Got the car in its sportiest setting. I'm just going to launch it. There is no launch control, I just floor the throttle. Here we go. Decent traction. Whew, not bad at all. 5.13 seconds. Now, if I had carried on accelerating, I would have ended up at 168 miles an hour and in jail. One of the things I'm really impressed about by this car is the comfort you get through the suspension. So you've got an adaptive setup, and I'm currently just cruising in comfort mode, and it's riding through the bumps very, very well. Now I'm getting a bit of buffeting, I don't know if you can hear it on the microphone because I've got the windows down, but I'll just put them all up now and listen to that. Silence. Such a relaxing car. Now, one thing you do have to accept with this LC convertible is it's not an out-and-out sports car. You've got to think of it more as a GT, a cruiser. And when you accept that, you really get into how it drives. So I'm going to flip this switch up here, put it into sports mode. So that's going to stiffen the suspension slightly, though it's still comfortable. Sharpen the steering and the throttle response, make the engine a little bit more raucous. You see? Oh yes. I could go one better, going to Sport Plus, and then everything's in maximum attack mode. So the steering on this car is really responsive. You don't want to go hooning into bends too quickly though. It's the kind of car that you just flow with, going from corner to corner. It's almost a bit like skiing, and you've got that soundtrack as well. And the soundtrack means that you put your foot down, and you think, oh my God, I'm going really, really quick. It sounds like you're doing 1,000,000 miles an hour. Then you look down at the speedo and actually you're still under the speed limit. So it's 60 on this road I'm on. I was doing less than 60 then when I accelerated. If I'd have been in something like a BMW M850i, with that kind of flooring of the throttle for that long, you'd be well over the speed limit and at risk of getting a ticket. I should give a special mention to this car's gearbox. So it just blends those 10 gears together so very well. It's also quite surprising how when you need to, and you floor it, it kicks down to the right gear, and it's having to juggle 10 ratios. It's amazing the way it does that. And if you do want to change gears yourself, the shifts aren't bad. Though to be fair, with a Lexus, you're best just letting it do it itself. It's all about just chilling out in this thing. Let's see what this Lexus is like in town. It's all right over speed humps. Let's try it around this mini roundabout, see if I get into a right old mess. Come on, can I go round? Can I go round in one go? Can I go round? Can I go round? Excuse me people, I want to make it round. I really want to, but I think I might have to. No, I'm going to make it. I thought I was going to have to 3-point turn. The turning circle is actually acceptable. It's quite a wide car, but it's manageable. Easy enough to live with this. In fact, it's lovely to live with. As with most convertible cars these days, you can put the roof up while you're driving. As long as you're below 31 miles an hour, this car will do it. So if you get caught short, it's raining or something, you can just do it without having to pull over, which is handy. It's so well insulated as well, this roof. When you're driving on the motorway long distances, it doesn't get tiring. You do notice ever so slightly then, the odd squeak as the body flexes ever so slightly when you go over some bumps, but it's hardly anything. And no doubt you'll have that gorgeous Mark Levinson stereo on loud anyway. I've had enough of having the roof up. Let's put it down. Make the most of the fact it's not raining. When you chop the roof off a car, you reduce its structural rigidity. So manufacturers then have to fit loads of extra bracing underneath to stop them wobbling and shaking. And Lexus has clearly done a good job at that, because I'm driving on a bumpy road through some potholes and stuff. And in some other convertibles, I'd feel some shaking through the steering wheel. You'd notice the rear view mirror wobbling about. But this is rock solid, impressive. There is a trade-off to having to fit all that extra bracing. It adds weight. This thing weighs 100 kilos more than the coupe version, so it tips the scales at just over 2 tons. There is one key downside when it comes to running a V8, and that's the economy. So let's see what I'm doing. 21.6 miles per gallon. Not totally catastrophic, but not exactly good either. The only car in this class that I'll probably consider over this would be a 911 Cabriolet, because it is sharper and sportier and more fun to drive. The only thing is though, there's something a little bit wrong about a 911 Cabriolet. It's a bit like marrying your cousin. It's legal, but you really shouldn't do it. So probably, yeah, I'd have this and accept it for what it is. Not the sharpest drive, but one of the coolest drives. So then, what's my final verdict on the Lexus LC500 Convertible? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, if you're one of the few people actually in the market for this type of car, don't hold back, just go right ahead and buy it. What are you waiting for? It's beautiful on the outside, on the inside, it's lovely to drive, and that wonderful naturally aspirated V8 is a thing that really clinches the deal. Oh, I want to keep it. Oh, the okie dokie. Oh, the okie dokie. Oh, the okie dokie. Knees bend, arms stretch. Rah, rah, rah. What is that all about?